Welcome back to Salty Sunshine. I'm doing a quick little episode on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Season 3 reunion. Um, I don't know. I just finished watching it. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel Nick Viall hosted last time, and I thought he bombed because he's super biased and I listen to his podcast. I'm an avid listener. I want to say that. Like, I'm not trashing him. This is just like an honest opinion. He does this with Blake Lively. He does this with his guests when he talks about reality TV. If he happens to like somebody, they can do no wrong. Like, he's super biased. Like, I can like you and I could still say, oh, well, I don't agree with this or that or whatever. This is my opinion. But he doesn't know how to do that. And so the reunion starts and Jen Affleck tells Stassi Schroeder is the new host this year from Vanderpump Rules. And she's like, I'm so happy you're hosting because you're not biased. So she was totally saying that Nick was biased, which he was. And he gets a little too therapy. Like, his therapy talk is good to a point, but he needs to find a way to balance, getting juicy and like kind of cutting it off and not like letting it linger too long. And then, there's a fine balance and he can get there. He just is not there yet. But if he listens to the critiques and stuff, unless he chooses not to. But anyways, they didn't bring him back this year, and I'm assuming because everyone hated doing it last year. So Stassi hosted. It's so funny to see her on TV. I haven't seen her in so long. I never watched Vanderpump Villa, and I think she was on there and hosted the reunion there too. I just have no interest in that show. And I think I tried to see a first episode and it didn't work. So I haven't seen it on my screen. It makes me sad for the old Vanderpump Rules. I so would love for them to get back together. If they would bring back the old cast and do even like a little 3 episode mini series, it would be so fun. Like everybody, Jack, Stassi, all everyone. That would be so good. I missed that cast. It was like gold. It was so good. And seeing the new Vanderpump show, which I give it a 0 out of 5, it just makes me sad. Um, anyways, so they start out the show, everyone looked really nice, and it's interesting because they went from the couches and then they would go back to the dressing rooms where the guys were sitting and show their conversation. So they're kind of going back and forth, which was interesting, which is a good tactic because if the guys are talking, like it's better to watch them just like have natural conversation instead of being out on the couches just fighting and like kind of not getting out, whatever. The guys and Brett, Demi's husband Brett, it got kind of ugly for a second between Jen Affleck's husband and Brett. Brett can get nasty really quick, and I find it very interesting that Demi's out here, and we'll talk about Demi in a second because the situation with Demi is infuriating me because Demi, no one tells her what she needs to be told. And it's driving me crazy. Like, everyone has to be like, this has nothing to do with assault. This has nothing to do with man versus woman. This has to do with the fact that you're manipulating and conniving, and no one has to believe you. It's not your right in life when you're born for people to believe just whatever you say. People have a right to have judgment and common sense, and something's off. So, like, no one's telling her what she needs to be told, and it's pissing me off. But Brett, her husband, is so aggressive. He comes out on stage and he gives Miranda, Chase's ex-wife, he gives Miranda an apology because during the season, Miranda basically told Demi she doesn't, the way you talked about Chase and him quote unquote shoving you, which he didn't do, it leads to question like how far do you manipulate things? And so she's telling Brett, and Brett called her white trash. So Brett apologized to Miranda. And it's like his level of aggression goes from 0 to 100 so fast, which is so ironic that Demi's talking about abuse, but both Demi and Brett are verbally abusive. So when Demi, like the way she was talking to Jen Affleck on the stage, she's like, "What are you, brain dead? What are you, dumb? What are you, stupid? What are you thinking?" Like, that's kind of abusive talk when you're talking to somebody and you're like, "Are you dumb? Are you stupid? Oh my God, like you don't get it." That's kind of abusive. And Brett is abusive verbally, so they're both abusive. So it's just interesting to watch them both verbally abuse people and then talk about a woman getting abused. Like it's just interesting. Um, Miranda's so sweet though. I feel like Miranda, I like her. I like her demeanor. I like how calm she is. I think she doesn't have a mean bone in her body. And she's not stupid either. She's not like an airhead flake. You could tell she's just kind of chill and she can come after you and she has a right and she doesn't. She just kind of uses her words. And I like that. So she just said, why are you apologizing to me on camera? Like you could have apologized to me months ago, which I agree with. But either way, he apologized fine. He's probably getting a lot of backlash and hate from people online, but or people that know him. Also, um, that was really awkward at the beginning when they're like the Dunkin' refresher thing, which is driving me crazy. If you listen to Giggly Squad, they even do mini episodes about their Dunkin' refreshers. Like I'm like so annoyed with the Dunkin' refresher thing. I don't want a Dunkin' refresher. Like it's working backwards for me. Anyways, they're doing the Dunkin' refresher. They're introducing everyone. Then Chase comes out as the Dunkin' refresher bartender, and they show the scene of the ending of last season with Taylor and Chase going out on a quote unquote date. Miranda had to sit through there, and I felt bad for her because Taylor didn't have any respect to say, it's not what it looked like, blah, blah, blah. She didn't say anything. She didn't offer anything. And it has to be awkward. That's her ex husband. When they were soft swinging, Chase fell in love with Taylor and they had a little affair behind Miranda's back. So Miranda has every right to feel a way about it because what are you doing? It's kind of disrespectful. I don't know. And I know that her and Taylor aren't best friends, but they're friendly now and they're in the same like little group. I don't know. I didn't think Taylor's toxic as shit. Let's be real, people. She tries to come off like whatever and like everyone loves her and I love her too, but she's quote unquote honest, but she's not honest with herself, if that makes any sense. And I didn't think that was very nice of her to just sit there and like, even when they're like, oh, they asked Chase, are you gonna, where does this leave you and Taylor? He's like, well, we'll see. He's kind of alluding to them hooking up or something. And Miranda's sitting there like, okay. And Taylor didn't say a word. So I find that disrespectful because that is her ex-husband and that did happen back in the day. So anyways, um, they just talk about the regular stuff, no big deal. And then they bring the guys out. And that's when it gets a little heated again with Brett. And also Jesse's husband, Jordan. He's another one. All these men have it's interesting. They all have like not anger issues, because anger is one of our emotions and we should use it appropriately. I feel like that word's thrown around a lot. That's like saying you have kindness issues if you're overly kind. I mean, if you're upset, you're supposed to act upset, but he's a little aggressive as well, Jordan. Um, and it doesn't seem that Jesse and Jordan, I mean, I know they're trying to work it out, but I think I think they're saying that Jordan has come a long way, and I think they're exaggerating how far he's come because I think they're in the same exact place. It looks like to me. He doesn't get it. Like he was on Biofiles with Jesse, which was a crazy annoying situation because Natalie from Biofiles, Nick's wife, interviewed Jesse like a therapy session. It was so boring, so stupid. Then Nick interviewed Jordan separately, and then they came together, all four of them, and talked. And it was so ridiculous, in my opinion. Because, yeah, you talk to people, you go back and forth, but to get so, I don't know, it crosses a line that's like ridiculous, in my opinion. But Nick and Jordan butt heads because Jordan refused to just say, I've been treating her like shit since day one, and I didn't realize I was treating her like shit. Like, Jordan wants to hold on to the fact that she cheated on him as the catalyst for his reaction. And it's like, no, no, no. You're an aggressive guy and you talk to women like shit, regardless of her cheating. Like the cheating has nothing to do with it. So he wouldn't cop to that. And Nick was frustrated. And even after, what I do like about Nick Vile's podcast is when they do interview people, they'll talk about it afterwards and they're honest about, like, they're not just like fluffing the bullshit up our assholes. Like they're, oh, I liked him, I didn't like him. Oh, he's cool, he's not cool. He's like, but I will say, he kind of got in, he wouldn't cop to this. Like they're not scared to kind of push back and say like their opinions, and then whether the person never wants to go back on the show or not, like they just, I like that. I like that they're just like honest about it, but there's not a meanness behind it. It's just like they're just talking. But yeah, he wouldn't cop to it, and when he would answer a question that didn't make sense, he'd be like, well, maybe I didn't hear you correctly. So Jordan's a little manipulative. We could see that. I think Demi also, I don't want to say she's, not to me, Jessie. I don't want to say she's manipulative, but I will say she's a little calculating. I think Jessie, she gives me Kim Kardashian vibes as far as, I think she's super vain, and I think she has a lot of insecurity, which she's admitted about how she looks and people whatever they've told her as she's grown up. But she doesn't have the self-confidence to kind of push past it and like be comfortable in her skin. So she's overly obsessed with procedures, overly obsessed with like the fake this, the hair, the eyelashes. I think she's so consumed with that, and that gives me Kim Kardashian vibes, that everything else is like secondary, third. And I don't think she cares as much about her personal relationships as she leads on. That's my personal opinion. I think she cares more about aesthetics and success, and she's driving herself crazy in her head. That's what it gives me. And so then after the boys come out, they go back and forth. The situation between Demi and Jesse, it's infuriating. I wish they would have asked at the end of the reunion, where does this leave Demi in the group? Like she doesn't belong here. Like she's not friends with anyone but Whitney. Whitney's not even really part of it. They're saying that she's not even gonna film again after this fourth season, and she's gonna go do Broadway. And I don't think, even if she does stay, Whitney's her only friend, and Whitney's not even like that close to everyone else. So she's fine with everyone else, but why does Demi have to be there? Like I don't get it. I think Demi needs to leave. I think Demi is a dog with a bone, and she's never going to let go of the fact that she completely fabricated this bullshit with Marciano. And it has nothing to do with women getting abused. And whatever happened to you in your childhood or past, which I'm not going to argue happened or not, obviously, I don't know. But that has nothing to do with Marciano. So you can't blame new people for what someone else did to you. And this obviously didn't happen. You obviously had a relationship with him. You obviously FaceTime him, showed him your kid. What do you mean your abuser? She compared herself to Macy, that was married to a guy that abused her. And then she's like, it's like you telling him I love you after he abused you the day before. It's like, no, it's not. She was in a relationship married to the guy. So there's motions you need to go through, even if you're going to break up. You don't even know this guy and you're married to someone else. How is that the same? That's not the same at all. She's so manipulative. I can't stand it. And no one tells her that. And that's what drives me crazy. Stassi, somebody on the stage should have said, why aren't you understanding why everyone is looking at you the way they are? You continued a relationship you didn't have to, of your own volition. You're an adult and you are responsible for your actions. Like, why are you acting like you don't have any choice in this matter? A, B, if he smacked your ass, obviously you didn't think it was a big deal because you didn't tell him off and you kept talking to him. So that's not sexual abuse. And you obviously had a playful relationship. Everyone saw you flirting. Like, everyone vouches for Marciano. Even Lisa Vanderpump, even though she's known for vouching for, like, what's his name? The DJ. But on Vanderpump Rules, James. I'm just saying, everyone thinks the same thing for a reason. She's full of shit. No one will tell her. She has something, I think she needs to go to therapy. She has to unpack some stuff, obviously. She's confused about, I don't know, reality. So, anyways, she needs to get off the show. I used to like her, so this saddens me, but I think her time is up, and I think she's never going to let it go. She just wants people to see her as some victim of something that didn't happen. So I don't like it. It's like watching a bunch of lies. So that went back and forth, and Stassi cut it off. She's like, all right, this is enough already. Stassi as a host, I don't know how I feel about it. I think she was better than Nick because it was lighter, like fluffier, like gossip, like, okay. Just go direct, like, let's ask the questions and get over with. Like, she didn't want to like linger, which is fine, but also she could have lingered a little more, I think, on certain things. And also, like, she had no patience for like the Demi thing. She's like, all right, and we're not gonna get anywhere. Bye. Let's stop. And then she moves on to something else, which is funny. That's a good, like, I like how she cuts it off, but she also could have dug a little deeper. I feel like there wasn't a lot of juice that came out of the reunion. Then they leave. They make everyone leave and bring the guys and Dakota back, and then Dakota with his baloney. Um, Also, Taylor's another one. Why don't they tell Taylor you can't break up with someone and say that they cheated on you? Hello. I mean, does Taylor not understand what the definition of breaking up is? Taylor breaks up with him and continues to sleep with him. So what does she think is going to happen? You're showing him you have no boundaries, no respect. What is the point of breaking up? You're better off staying with him and not sleeping with him to see if he like shapes up and listens to you. Like the guy has no respect for you because you have no boundaries. I'm not saying it's her fault, like what he does, but you can't. What did you think was going to happen? You can't break up with someone and then like rule their world and tell them what they can and can't do and what they did wrong. It's just like, again, no one's telling her what's the reality here, and it's driving me crazy. Because yes, that was messed up for him to talk to a family friend, but putting that aside, this is a constant thing with her. She's constantly telling him he cheated, he lied, he did. But you broke up and you're not, you don't, like, he's not going to just wait around and see if you want to be with him. And you should know better. You should just let it go and like break up and be an adult and co-parent. Like you cause all this chaos. I feel like as a grown woman, you need to stand by what you say and not be messy about it. Like you're creating all this drama. And then, oh my gosh, her face when Dakota said, well, why didn't you show them the sexting you were doing last night? Taylor has no respect for herself. Taylor has no respect for the situation. She has no respect for their co-parenting, her children. She needs to wake up because the fact that she's still sexting him, I'm sure they're still sleeping together even after that happened. She has no boundaries, and that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem because you blow up, you keep fighting, and then what's the point? Because all you do is nothing changes. You're going to continue to sleep with him. You're going to continue. So just don't waste your time fighting because nothing's going to change. Her face dropped. That was crazy. Like, so she was sexting him the night before the reunion. Like, what? What are you doing? You're so appalled by his behavior, but you're sexting him. How do you go from one extreme to the other? That's crazy. And she's like, oh, I don't have a boyfriend. So, she admitted she didn't say you're lying. Um, that was crazy. She's the worst candidate for The Bachelorette. That's all I have to say. I know she's currently filming and she's sexting him. She's currently filming and sexting Dakota, the deadbeat, lying piece of crap that she calls him. That's crazy. That's crazy. Um, yeah, I don't know. She needs to wake up. Somebody needs to tell her. I feel like no one's telling her direct, like cut it out. This is enough already. This is like your circus. Like you could stop it at any moment. And it's not the exciting road, but if you want things to change, you need to take the boring, responsible road and like cut it out already. Um, I feel like they're never gonna stop screwing with each other, and it's really sad. It's sad to watch because she's in constant turmoil. You could tell that she's an emotional walking ball of turmoil, and that's a terrible way to live. We've all gone through that, but to do it for extended period of time, that can really that's a really bad place to be in. So I really hope she stops saying things and just kind of like her inner dialogue changes and she cuts it out because you shouldn't be sleeping with him if you're not together. You shouldn't be sexting him. You shouldn't be crossing boundaries if you're not a thing, like a real thing. Like either really go and try to work it out with him and be open about like you can't she thinks, which a lot of women do, she thinks that she breaks up with him and says, you better I need to see this and this and this, and then I'll consider taking you back. That never works. A guy's never gonna work on himself and change while you're still messing around and not together, and the respect is already gone. Like the boundaries are not there. That's never gonna happen. It's just a losing battle. So that was nuts. And then that's where it ends. Dakota got frustrated, he leaves. Um, and that's it. There's nothing else that happens. I don't know. It was okay. But we're wrapped up and then they're gonna do another season. I'm curious to see if Demi's coming back. I hope not. And if she does come back, I hope she just says, you know what, I took it too far. That didn't make sense. I see the light, but I don't think she's gonna do that. Um, and that's it. Bye.